Welcome to OOTOTV, the out of the office investigation from the past into the future of health. This time, we're discussing chlorine dioxide, antibacterial, antiviral, mouthwash, and disinfectant.
I'm Sue, and it's fantastic to have you with us for this investigation.
And I'm Bob. Today, we're exploring a chemical that has this, well, truly fascinating and divided reputation: chlorine dioxide. On one side, it's a scientifically celebrated disinfectant, a really key tool for public health in purifying our water and sanitizing our hospitals.
That's exactly right, Bob. But then, on the other side, it is the central ingredient in a pretty dangerous pseudoscience movement, which has prompted these really stark warnings from the FDA. So today, we're going to get into the powerful science, the legitimate applications, and of course, the critical health warnings.
Okay, so let's get right into it. The whole story really kicks off with a fundamental paradox.
And this is the question, isn't it? It cuts right to the heart of chemistry, biology, and public health. How can one single substance, ClO2, be so incredibly good at destroying microscopic threats, but at the very same time be at the center of these serious, genuinely life-threatening health warnings when people misuse it? It's a heck of a question.
All right, so to be absolutely crystal clear right from the get-go, we are talking about chlorine dioxide, or ClO2. And like our sources really make plain, it is so crucial to understand this is not the same thing as the chlorine you've got in household bleach. That's a totally different molecule called sodium hypochlorite. The real power of chlorine dioxide, well, it comes from being what scientists call an oxidant. You can almost think of it as this relentless molecular thief that just rips electrons away from other molecules. And that one aggressive action is what lets it attack and just completely destroy germs.
Oh, and Bob, saying it's potent is almost an understatement. The way ClO2 works is through this super aggressive chemical oxidation. It doesn't just, poison a microbe. It literally dismantles it from the outside in. The research shows it breaks down the very proteins that make up the microbe's cell membrane, its own skin. But it doesn't even stop there. It gets inside and actually oxidizes the core building blocks of life itself. We're talking DNA and RNA, and that just triggers this catastrophic failure and cell death. It's a complete, full-spectrum chemical assault.
Yeah. Now, what's really amazing about this is the sheer thoroughness of that attack. Let's just walk through it for a second. Step 1, it makes contact. Okay, simple enough. Step 2, as the sources point out, it's high diffusivity. Basically means it just slips right through the cell's defenses like they're not even there. Then step 3, that's where the real devastation happens: oxidation. It specifically goes after and oxidizes these essential amino acids, which is kind of like dissolving the key nuts and bolts of a machine while it's still running. And that leads right to step 4, total destruction. All the vital functions just stop. The cell is toast. This method is so complete, Sue, that bacteria can't develop resistance to it. I mean, how do you evolve a defense against having your fundamental chemistry ripped apart?
And this slide, Bob, it just brilliantly illustrates a huge advantage it has over standard chlorine bleach, which is exactly why it's so valued for things like water purification. Traditional chlorine is, let's say, a bit of a brute. It just reacts with all sorts of organic matter and in the process creates these potentially carcinogenic byproducts called trihalomethanes. Chlorine dioxide, on the other hand, is a much more selective oxidant. It's like a targeted weapon. So it doesn't form those same harmful byproducts, which makes it a much cleaner, safer, and way more effective choice for keeping our public water supply safe to drink.
Just look at that number. It's absolutely staggering. A study in the Journal of Hospital Infection found that a pretty weak solution of chlorine dioxide wiped out over 99.99% of the SARS-CoV-2 virus in just 10 seconds. Now, to put that into perspective, a standard bleach solution at the same strength took 3 minutes just to achieve a result that wasn't even as effective. The speed and the power we're talking about here are just on another level entirely. It's incredible.
And this incredible power, it translates directly into real-world settings. I mean, check this out. A study in Scientific Reports tested a device that slowly lets out a low, safe concentration of ClO2 gas into the air. They put these little devices in really high-traffic hospital areas. Think elevators and mobile clinics. As you can see in this table, after only 7 days, they saw a reduction of up to 100% in airborne bacterial and fungal colonies.
It literally sanitized the air in some of the most challenging public environments you can imagine.
Yeah, and beyond just cleaning the air, it's making huge waves in dental care, which is something we can all relate to. Multiple clinical studies are confirming that mouthwashes that are properly formulated with stabilized chlorine dioxide are just remarkably effective. As you can see right here, they work by neutralizing the sulfur compounds that, well, cause bad breath. They're proven to reduce plaque, and they really effectively fight the specific bacteria that lead to gum disease. This isn't just some theory, it's been documented over and over again in real clinical settings.
Absolutely. And the clinical data really does back this all up. This chart actually comes from a major meta-analysis that compared chlorhexidine mouthwash to other leading antibacterial rinses, like chlorhexidine, which, is often seen as the gold standard in oral care. Just look at the results for plaque reduction. They are practically identical. The scientific conclusion was super clear. There is no statistically significant difference in how effective they are. It performs right on par with the very best in the field.
You're listening to OOTO TV with research by author Paul Bulow.
And this brings us right back to that big paradox we started with. We've just gone over how ClO2 is this relentless, ruthless killer of single-celled organisms. So the really essential question becomes, how on earth can we possibly use something so destructive on our own bodies in something like a mouthwash we swish around without it causing massive damage to our own cells?
Well, Bob, the answer is just absolutely fascinating. And it all comes down to one key idea that was identified in a truly groundbreaking study in the journal PLOS One. The researchers there identified chlorine dioxide as a size-selective antimicrobial agent. Its deadliness, they figured out, depends entirely on the size of whatever it's targeting.
So the critical point is, it all comes down to scale. It's all about size. The study frames it perfectly. Imagine a flash flood hitting a tiny little anthill versus that exact same flash flood hitting a giant mountain. The anthill, which is our tiny single-celled microbe, is just completely wiped out, obliterated. But the mountain, our massive multicellular human body, is barely even scratched on the surface. The ClO2 reacts so fast with the outermost layer of our tissue that it's completely used up before it can do any deep systemic damage. It's brilliant. Exactly. And the researchers even did the math on this. For a typical application like a 1-minute mouth rinse, they calculated that the chemical penetrates less than 1/10 of a millimeter into our tissue. I mean, that's thinner than a single sheet of paper. It's just deep enough to kill all the surface-level bacteria, but it's way too shallow to cause any real measurable harm to us, the much larger organism.
And the researchers really put it best themselves with this quote. The selectivity is based not on different biochemistry, but on different size. It's such an elegant scientific principle, and it explains why it can be used safely in these specific topical ways. But Sue, this is where our story takes a really sharp and frankly a very concerning turn, away from this kind of peer-reviewed science and straight into the world of dangerous misinformation.
Oh, it certainly does. And that quote right there is a direct warning from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. And believe me, they do not issue warnings like that lightly. Because despite all of the validated, important scientific applications we've just been talking about, chlorine dioxide is also the central ingredient in a dangerous pseudoscience movement, which is most commonly known as miracle mineral solution, or MMS.
Right, and promoters of this stuff, MMS, which is typically a solution you mix yourself at home to generate chlorine dioxide, they've marketed it as a cure-all. I mean, just look at this list. They claim it can cure everything from cancer and AIDS to autism and COVID-19. They make these absolutely incredible claims without a single shred of credible, peer-reviewed scientific evidence to back any of it up. None.
And that right there is the critical point. This quote, it comes from a systematic review where researchers did this huge, exhaustive search of all the scientific literature, looking for any study, anything at all, that might support using chlorine dioxide to treat or prevent COVID-19. And their conclusion? They found absolutely nothing. Zero. Zilch. The claims are being made in a complete and total vacuum of scientific support.
And the real-world consequences of people following this dangerous advice are just devastating. Health authorities from all over the globe have documented case after case of life-threatening side effects from people ingesting these products. We're talking about acute liver and kidney failure, the literal destruction of a person's red blood cells, respiratory failure. Let's be perfectly clear here. This is not some harmless alternative medicine. It's the equivalent of drinking industrial-strength bleach that's being sold as a miracle cure. So this really brings the two starkly different sides of our story right together, doesn't it? The science clearly shows that chlorine dioxide is a validated, incredibly powerful disinfectant for surfaces. And it's a really effective topical antiseptic when it's used in specific approved products for their intended purpose. And that means, unequivocally, that chlorine dioxide can significantly impact your health. That impact can be powerfully positive or dangerously negative. It all just depends on how it's used. Used correctly, in a regulated product, it's a fantastic tool, but used incorrectly by drinking it as some unproven cure, it can cause devastating, irreversible harm. And this is why choosing the typed application of chlorine dioxide is critical. The context, the dose, the delivery system, all of it is everything. There is a vast, unbridgeable world of difference between a professionally manufactured, regulated product, like a disinfectant or mouthwash, and some self-mixed concoction being promoted on the internet with these dangerous claims. They are not even in the same universe. So here's the crucial point. Targeting antibacterial, antiviral with chlorine dioxide can exponentially leverage your mental and physical health, but only when it's done responsibly. Targeting its amazing properties specifically for your needs, say by using an approved mouthwash, helps to build healthy routines and habits for your oral care, but it has to exist within a bigger picture. Targeting antibacterial, antiviral with chlorine dioxide requires you to have a health plan. That means a healthy diet, getting proper sleep, and of course, getting professional medical guidance. It's a powerful tool, not a replacement for a healthy lifestyle or a magic bullet.
And that really is the powerful question we're left with. Chlorine dioxide is an undeniably potent chemical tool. Its story is just a stark reminder of how easily real science can be twisted and how critical scientific literacy is for all of us. Thank you so much for joining us for this Odo TV investigation.
And stay curious and always stay informed. I'll see you next time.